A popular comedy ended in an epic tragedy on December 30th of 1903 in Chicago's brand new Iroquois Theater. The playhouse was only 5 weeks old when it became a scene of horror and mass death as a fire consumed the building and over 600 patrons died in the chaos, making it one of the worst building disasters in U.S. history. The owners of the Iroquois Theater were confident that they had created a great house for dramatic presentation, and the place was met with high public praise when it opened in early December 1903. But the structure had problems from the start. The architect completed his drawings late. The layout called for a common stairway shared by everyone, a violation of Chicago building codes, and there was only one entrance. But Chicago was a town that ran on payola and graft, and a lot of rules and regulations were simply ignored. An unofficial inspection of the building took place the same week it opened, and it revealed a lack of sprinklers, phones, water sources, and alarms. The on-site fire equipment consisted of just 6 dry powder fire extinguishers. It was a cold afternoon on December 30th, when a crowd of over 2,100 ticket holders attended a standing room only performance of Mr. Bluebeard, a burlesque travel adventure and something of a theatrical spectacle. The show included exotic locales, a fairy palace, actors costumed like animals, and even a ballerina suspended by wire above the audience. During Act 2 of the second show of the day, a possible short circuit in the wiring caused a spark to fly from an arc light. It ignited the thick muslin curtain nearby. A lamp operator tried to stomp it out, but the flames quickly shot up the length of the tall stage curtains and far out of his reach. The stage manager tried to drop down the stage's asbestos fire curtain, but it got caught on a light reflector and couldn't cover the flames. A chemist who later analyzed the fire curtain said it wouldn't have worked on the fire anyway, because it was made mainly of wood pulp. Stagehands reacted to the flare-up by grabbing the fire extinguishers, but the flames climbed so high, so fast, they were quickly out of reach. Worse, the fire rose upwards to the fly gallery, where dozens of painted stage flats were hanging. They went up in a spectacular bonfire, and then rained down upon the stage. The spreading fire was completely out of control, and the crowd reacted with mass panic. Over 2,100 theatergoers made a mad scramble for the single entranceway. Hundreds of bodies pushed and slammed against each other as the desperate mob tried to claw its way out. There were a few emergency fire exits in the building, but they were hidden behind the massive drapes lining the theater walls. Many fleeing patrons got caught in dead ends in a hallway where what looked like a door turned out to be a window too small to fit through. Escape was further prevented by metal gates that locked off the upper levels of balcony seating from the orchestra level on the ground floor. Doors throughout the theater had unfamiliar bascule locks, which few people knew how to operate. Other doors had to be opened by brute force, but most wouldn't open at all. There was no fire alarm in the building, no telephone, and the fire department didn't know about the calamity until a stagehand ran to the closest fire station and told them. The police didn't get involved until a cop saw people fleeing the theater in flames. Inside, the play's co-star, Eddie Foy, still dressed in drag for a female comedy role he was playing, tried to calm the panicked crowd after he got a stagehand to keep an eye on his own young son. He heroically implored the audience to stay calm, despite the burning set collapsing around him. He even asked the orchestra to keep playing. But the entire design of the building sabotaged the ability of patrons to quickly escape, People fleeing the top-level gallery seats had to descend the stairs, which then fed into a stream of people leaving the lower balcony level, which then dumped into the main crowd rushing for the exits on the ground floor. The result was a deadly crush of humanity. Dozens of patrons were trampled to death before they ever reached the doors. Backstage, dancers and other performers ran to escape through the large rear theater door, normally used to carry in sets. But when they swung the doors open, a sudden gust of ice-cold air burst into the building. It was like a blast furnace, exploding into a ball of flame that roared throughout the entire structure. Dozens were instantly killed, including those stuck in the balconies where there was no way out. A few had discovered an upper floor fire escape, but then found there was no ladder leading to the ground. Victims were incinerated or fell to their deaths. In the midst of the firestorm, the ballerina, still suspended overhead, fell from her perch and got seriously hurt. 3 days later, she died of her injuries. The theater vents were shut, which forced the raging fire to work its way toward the building's outer walls, which were all covered by asbestos curtains. Some of the actors tried to climb out through small dressing room windows or tight coal chutes, but most of them couldn't reach the exit because the terrified throng was stampeding over itself, creating heaps of corpses at the entranceway. Bodies piled 10 feet high blocked those who were still alive from reaching the exit. The rest were consumed by smoke and fire. Most of them died before the firefighters ever showed up. Once the theater was destroyed and the fire had subsided, doctors searched through scores of charred bodies for possible survivors. Families later mobbed the scene with questions about loved ones. The diner next door was converted into a temporary hospital and then a morgue. When it was all over, the Great Chicago Fire disaster resulted in 575 deaths, with 30 more dying in the following weeks. Most of them were women and children. Because many of those who died were society people, extraordinary attention was paid to the tragedy. Newspapers ran articles listing the code violations the Iroquois had committed, including no fire alarms or sprinkler systems, no marked exits, and no suitable fire extinguishers. Chicago immediately had all of its theaters shut down for inspection and repair, and similar actions were taken in other cities. The fire generated national headlines and spurred a wave of construction reform. New laws were passed for building design and safety. One lasting innovation was the requirement that a red light be kept burning over all exits. It was the predecessor of the exit signs we see in all theaters today. Another invention was the panic bars, found on exit doors that push open to the outside, but won't let outsiders in. These changes were made to the Iroquois Theater, and it opened less than a year later under a new name. But prosecuting those guilty of the Iroquois Theater deaths was difficult because so many had failed to do their job or to enforce the rules. The blame was dissipated and everyone washed their hands of any responsibility. The building's architect blamed the crowd itself for panicking. Many questioned whether fire safety laws were inadequate or if they had just been inadequately observed. Ultimately, after 3 years of legal battles, nobody was held liable for the crime. My name is Scott, and thank you so much for watching. We're a group of curious and passionate humans creating documentary-style content for those who share our curiosity, ask questions, and seek to dig deeper in a world where almost everything isn't quite what it seems. We are Mystery Syndicate. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, leave a comment, and give this video a like. And to be notified when we post new videos, hit that notification bell. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and for exclusive merchandise, visit our website at www.mysterysyndicate.com. And for those that wish to support our channel, please visit Mystery Syndicate on Patreon. We have a variety of new patron tiers with tons of great benefits. If you want to see your name on a future video, be sure to check it out. From all of us at Mystery Syndicate, thank you again. We sincerely appreciate your support.